Hold up. Hello? Hello? Alright. So, today we're doing 3 lives this week. I know I just did a live like Monday, but we have to do another one because this is another late video. If you don't know, this past month, June 13th, was my 4 years on YouTube. And the only reason why I'm doing it late is because I was busy the last 2 weeks, but now I finally get the chance to discuss my story on YouTube. And so that's basically what this live is going to be about today. I plan to tell my story every year, because I think it's a pretty interesting story to share some life into it, but also, well, what is my life with movies, my experience with Marvel, but also my experience with YouTube. But before we get into that, let me just kind of start the chapter markers down in the description. Okay, so we are 2 minutes and 20 seconds in. We'll start at 2:30. Actually, no, wait, maybe 2:35, 20, and we'll start at 2016. And we're going to start this list off at the year 2016. Or, yeah, we'll edit that to 2016, 2017. 2016, 17, all right. So, we'll start off with my story, and this first part of the story will actually be about how my love for Marvel started. So it was summer of 2016, similar to how my favorite YouTuber of all time, Sean Chandler, started, where he went to the movies in summer of 2016 to see the new Ghostbusters film, and he decided to go ahead and review it. My stories, and that's how his channel started. My story is a bit different. It was summer of 2016. And I was on YouTube, and I was basically scrolling through YouTube, and I saw the airport sequence to the new Marvel movie, Captain America: Civil War. And obviously, if you guys know, that is like the best movie scene of the entire film. And honestly, as I was watching that scene, every time I keep seeing a clip of it, I'm like, this is just so cool. Seeing superheroes fight each other to the death, or really just fighting each other to get somewhere, it was just such a cool experience to watch. And really, up until that point, I was playing with action figures at the time, so I would like play with action. I didn't have Marvel figures at the time, and I would play with action figures along a lot, and I would use them in similar ways to that, and I would even use like stuffed animals I had too. And so it was just fun playtime. Now, you gotta understand something, because up until this point before that, I always was kind of somewhat a hater of Marvel for some reason. And I'm not exactly sure why, because if you don't know, one of the first movies I remember going to see in theaters was the first Avengers, which was 2012, which was like 4 years before Civil War ever came out. And now technically it was probably Toy Story 3, but I don't remember Toy Story 3 in theaters, so I'm just going to leave that there. But with Civil War, that was like the first film that kind of started my love for Marvel. And it kind of, and even before that, during the different summers at the other house I lived at, I would remember even like watching, I would watch Spider-Man a lot. I would watch Hulk a lot. And so honestly, like, it was a great experience to just go back and watch just fantastic movies. And then I even remember 2017, which I included this one part. I went to go see Spider-Man Homecoming, and because I loved Spider-Man in that battle so much in Civil War, I was excited, like, how are they going to integrate him into this new universe where there are so many heroes? Like, how is this going to be possible? And so I was just very excited for it, and it's still a great movie, which I'll be rewatching it in the next week or so for its anniversary. And one final memory before we get on to the year 2018. I remember having this fond memory because the only streaming service I had back then was Netflix. And I remember tons of movies were streaming on there. And I remember that I didn't realize at the time that I would stay up late, very late with my sister in our room. And we would just be watching movies and TV shows all night long. Whether it was like Mulan or classic Disney movies or just classic Disney Junior shows. It would just be all this stuff, and it would just be so much fun. Yet I didn't realize that I was staying up so late watching all this stuff. So it was kind of fun, but I probably shouldn't have been doing that. But hey, I was a kid. I'm obviously not going to be able to do that for much longer because I'm getting older and I'm going to start having a life soon. But now let's start talking about the year 2018, where things really started to get crazy. We'll start that at 7:30, 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And we get to the year 2018, and this was, so 2016 was really the year I fell in love with. 2016, 2017 was the official years that I fell in love with Marvel. 2018 was the year where I honestly just fell in love with film. Now, the way that this started is, of course, it actually started with a Marvel movie where I went to where it was April of 2018, and for most of you that know me up to this day, you probably know where the story's going. That I went to the movies to go see my most anticipated film of all time, Avengers: Infinity War. Now, I kid you not, I would honestly say Infinity War is probably one of the best movie experience, and I will never get over it because when I came out, because the thing that this movie did so well, and it's a minute movie review, that it brought all these different characters together. The thing that the first Avengers did so well in bringing these characters from different franchises together, in the Avengers Infinity War, you're bringing not just the other Avengers together, but you're bringing in the Guardians of the Galaxy, you're bringing in Black Panther, you're bringing in Spider-Man, you're bringing in Doctor Strange. You're bringing in all these different characters, and you're putting them into different team-ups and everything, and it works. And seeing that on the big screen was just such a pleasant surprise. But you get those fan service moments like Thor arriving in Wakanda to save all of our heroes. But you didn't realize, at least I didn't realize, that the Avengers lost, and that's why they were disappearing. And so it's like it was an unforgettable experience that I personally will never forget. In my opinion, watching Infinity War in theaters was possibly much better than watching Endgame in theaters. Mainly because throughout the entire week Endgame was being released, I spoiled myself and actually spoiled the entire movie for me by watching bunches of clips from the third act, watching Cap versus Cap in New York 2012. I spoiled myself from that, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, that's really where like Marvel was just at its peak. I was just blown away by what Marvel can do, but also I just experienced the best of film, and I was so blown away by that. And it's like, such a good movie. I love that. And then pretty much as the summer went along, I started to actually go ahead and watch other movies. This was also the time where, and even like earlier in the year, I saw some really good films. I saw Wonder in February of 2018, which became one of my just all-time favorite movies. Then I think in March of 2018, I saw Thor Ragnarok. I saw it for rent. And then in the summer of 2018, I saw a couple of Disney movies. I believe that's when I saw Snow White and Pinocchio and Dumbo. And then I went to go. I'm pretty sure I've seen Lion King many times before this, but I saw Lion King. I saw Wreck-It Ralph for the first time and Big Hero 6. Um, but even more to that, I saw a bunch of great movies. But even more to that, I also saw some pretty great films in theaters. So it was June 2018. My sister wanted to go see Incredibles 2 with me. I wasn't really looking forward to it for some reason because I was a dumb kid. And much like the Marvel situation where I had a friend in elementary school saying, "Hey, look, Spider-Man's so cool," and I'm like, "No, he's not. Shut up. He's the worst superhero ever." Like I said, back then I was a dumb kid, so I don't know what I was saying. Looking back on it now, I was a dumb kid, but now I can say, yeah, these characters are awesome. It's great, and Incredibles 2 was another perfect example of a great movie theater experience, of just a great time at the movies, giving us an enjoyable story, but also giving great action and animation, like just solid ones. Um, and then a month later, I went to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp. Solid fun watch with my mom. And then the next month after that was August when I went to go see Christopher Robin with my mom and sister, and that was a fun experience. That was a cool experience to endure. Um, and then the next couple months, I didn't really watch anything, and then I think it was October when, because if you don't know, when I saw Infinity War, I haven't seen all the Marvel movies. Uh, I've seen most of them, but I didn't watch all of them. But I thought, Captain Marvel is the next MC movie after Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I thought, why not go ahead and watch all the MC movies leading up to Captain Marvel? And I pretty much only watched the ones I didn't see. And honestly a fun watch because I watched Iron Man for the first time. I watched The Incredible Hulk, which kind of freaked me out as a little kid, not gonna lie. Then I watched Iron Man 2, Thor, The First Avenger, Iron Man 3, all the other movies. And then November, I officially went back to the theaters to go see, and it was during Thanksgiving weekend, I went to go see Ralph Breaks the Internet, which, if you know, I was so obsessed with Wreck-It Ralph in the summer of that year, so I'm like, yeah, I'm pleasantly excited for that. It's Wreck-It Ralph 1 is still good, but Ralph Breaks Down was a good experience. And then we get to December, which I would say was... Actually, we'll talk about one more. November 30th, I came home from school. My sister was watching something on Netflix. It was The Green Mile. And it was on a scene where, John Coffey had, two children in his hands. And I'm like... And then as soon as she started continuing playing the movie, I was easily sucked in to where I just wanted to finish, to where, I would just listen to movies, do whatever I wanted to. But this movie, as soon as she continued playing it, my eyes were glued to the screen from that day on. From that moment on, I'm like, this is great. This is just fantastic. And I'm like, that's why 2018 is the best year for me, because I experienced film. I didn't just watch Marvel and Disney movies, which I enjoyed, but I enjoyed other parts of film that I never thought I would enjoy. But December was another big month because I started my winter break off going to see a DC movie in theaters, which, if you know me, Marvel was my main brand. Marvel was the thing I absolutely loved. I was known for this in school and my family. I love Spider-Man. I love Marvel. I love all this. I love Avengers. I love Hulk. I love all that. I was never known as a DC guy. And this was the first time where I actually went to go see a DC movie in theaters. And I was like, DC can actually make pretty good movies. And I went to go see Aquaman with my sister. And it was starting my winter break. And it was just a fun experience. And I'm like, the fact that DC can actually make pretty good movies. Pretty cool. And that kind of closes things off. And then I think that we'll close 2018 off with a bang. And I've told this story a little bit on my channel before when reviewing this movie. So it was basically, it was still my winter break, but it was already 2019. And the movie had already come out. I woke up at like 12 p.m. and my mom woke me up and she was like, hey, you want to go see the new Into the Spider-Verse movie? Because I've heard many people talking about it. And I'm like, okay. But I didn't say like, I was like, okay, let's get this over with. I was like, okay. Because I'm actually invested into this because everybody has been saying Into the Spider-Verse is like the best movie ever. It had like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Well, it dropped to 97, but it's still great. And I was so intrigued, like, why is this movie so good? And obviously, I went in the theater, and I saw one of the best movies to ever exist. Possibly the best Spider-Man movie to this day. And, yeah, it truly became one of my favorite movies of all time. I already have a review on my channel. I have a ranking of all the Spider-Man movies, or a tier list, as you will. So, yeah. That's the way to put things. And now we're going to talk about the year 2019. And now we get to the year 2019, and this was actually an impressive year. So, 2016, 2018, 2017, 2018... 2016, 2017 were the establishments of me loving Marvel. 2018 was the establishment of loving movies. What was 2019 about? It was actually the continuation, I guess you could say, of both, in a way. Where almost every month from January of 2019 to July, I was going to the movies for all 7 of those months. Where he kicked things off, and I went to go see A Dog's Way Home for my birthday. It's not the best movie, but it was pretty cute for a birthday movie. Then, February, I went to go see the Lego Movie 2, the second part with my dad. And that was like the first time where I watched all 3 Lego movies, and that was pretty fun. I even have a fond memory of going to see the first Lego movie with one of my dad's friends and his son, and that kid, me and him were actually pretty close friends at the time. And then March, I actually saw 2 movies. One, which was Captain Marvel, earlier in the month of March. And then I went to Disney World at the end of March, and I went to go see the live-action remake of Dumbo. April, I saw 2 other movies, with Shazam earlier in the month, and then at the end of the month with Avengers Endgame. And then May of 2019, I saw the live-action remake of Aladdin. Then June, I saw Toy Story 4. And then July, which was the last month I saw movies in the theater for a while, I saw Spider-Man Far From Home and the live-action remake of The Lion King. And so all 7 of those months, they were just solid months because I was just watching, like, I was just having memorable movie experiences. I was going to the movies. I was seeing movies. And kind of getting the experience to experience the things that I love. Disney movies, live-action remakes, Pixar movies, Marvel movies, and experiencing all of that. And experiencing superhero films like Shazam. That was just fun. And then I didn't go to the movies between August, September, and October, and that's because during that time, I started middle school, which, in a way, movies still played an important part in that, and that during the ending of July and beginning of August, I was watching the Fast and Furious movies, and I got up to, like, the 6th one, and so I thought, I think I need to watch the 7th one, but it wasn't for anywhere. And so I thought, what if by the time I end this week, I go ahead and watch Furious 7? And so we made a goal to do that, and I thought it was a very, very fun time. Granted, I don't know if I would say it's the best movie, but it's definitely very good. But yeah, Furious 7 was my go-to movie to heal from the depressing week that is middle school. And this kind of started a trend as the years come along, in that every week coming from home from school, of ending the first week of school, I would watch a movie to make me feel better. And Furious 7 I'll never forget, because it was an important film because of that. And then we get to, I'm going to say, even in September and October, I actually did watch some pretty good movies. I remember watching Madagascar 3 for the first time. I remember watching Hotel Transylvania 1, because I remember watching Hotel Transylvania 2 a lot in elementary school. And then we kind of get to the month of 2019 of November, where I finally went back to the movies, which was actually the last time I went to the movies before a certain thing happened in 2020. Which the last movie I saw in theaters before COVID was Frozen 2. And was kind of sad because in the months of December, January, and February, and even March, there were still movies that I could have seen. I didn't, but that's because all the movies I saw with my mom or my family, and I saw Frozen 2. It's kind of depressing. I wish I could go back to that time and watch certain movies, but obviously I can't. Then, not only was November a big important part of 2019 for me, but of going to the movies and stuff, but it was also an important part because it was also the launch of another streaming service, that also became a big part of my life, which was Disney Plus. And part of the reason why Disney Plus was so important for me is because, if you don't know me, I'm a massive Disney fan. I love all things Disney. Well, not all things Disney, but I love all the big Disney franchises. Disney, Pixar, Marvel. If you didn't notice, in 2019, I went to go see most of their movies. You know, Captain Marvel, Dumbo, Avengers Endgame, Aladdin, Toy Story 4, Lion King, Frozen 2, even Descendants 3 on Disney Channel. And then I saw the Lady and the Tramp remake. And for the first couple movies that I watched on Disney Plus, I watched a few episodes of Kim Possible, and even the live action Kim Possible movie. I watched a Goofy movie since I was into an extremely Goofy movie. I watched the Santa Claus and the Santa Claus 2. The point of this streaming service is I was able to experience really good movies. I remember in November I was sick, and I remember because of this it led me to watching Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and if you know me, that's a fantastic show, great animated Marvel show. And then I think it also led to watching some other shows, but we'll get onto that in a little bit. But that's the thing. Because of the launch of Disney Plus, it was able to experience other movies. Like, I never thought I would get the chance to watch Santa Claus, even though it shows up on TV time to time. I never thought I would get the chance to watch, Kim Possible or anything like that, or all these other classic shows. It's like, you think about it at the time, it's like, this is a dream come true. To get all these shows all in one, all these movies and shows and all in one place, it's fantastic. It's amazing. And so 2019, pretty solid year, and now we're going to get to the year of 2020. And now we get to the year of 2020, and obviously this year was kind of a oddball when you kind of think about it, because what this year is mostly known for is COVID-19. And we really only had like 2 months of normalcy in this year, with January, February, and a little bit of March, but March was really when the pandemic started. And you're probably wondering, well, how exactly did the pandemic play into your love of Marvel and movies? Well, when it came to Marvel, we didn't get any Marvel content that year, so that was kind of depressing. We also lost Chadwick Boseman, so that was also kind of sad, though it actually made me love the Black Panther movie a lot more. Not to say I liked Black Panther before, but I never loved it, but now I fully do love it. And so yeah, it was just kind of a depressing year for Marvel. We kept getting so many new trailers for Black Widow, and it never came out until 2021. We at least got the New Mutants, but nobody cared for that. And so yeah, it was a very depressing year. Granted, I got to see some people reviewing Marvel movies and ranking Marvel movies, so that was kind of an interesting videos to watch. When it came to movies, obviously, when it came to movie theaters, I couldn't go to the movies, so that was just very depressing and sad. But I will say when it came to streaming services and Disney Plus, streaming services became the real big thing, where so obviously I was still hyped on Disney Plus, where the first couple movies that we actually got to start our quarantine watches were Frozen 2, where I even remember this, where I was in 6th grade, I was in my 6th period class. It was March 13th, and I remember they were doing afternoon announcements, and they were like, teachers, students, and staff, at this time, schools will be closed for the next 2 weeks because of the coronavirus. And we didn't realize that because that 2 weeks ended up being the rest of the year. And what's so funny is the morning before I went to school, my parents were telling me we were going to go to Disney to, I guess, because of the coronavirus, if we we're ever going to go again. And I'm so glad we did, because we weren't going to go until August of 2020. And it was a quick trip. We only went for like 2 days for the weekend until it closed back up, and it was a fun weekend. And one thing I even remember, they announced Frozen 2 is coming to Disney Plus that week. It's like March 18th or 19th or whatever. And I'm like, yes! They're adding something I can watch as I go to sleep. Yes, as I'm going into Disney Hotel. Yes! Thank you. And then what's also kind of clever is what's another funny thing through COVID is I moved. And so to experience kind of like that last Friday in my house, they announced Onward is getting added to Disney Plus April 3rd. And that was also a pretty exciting experience, because Onward came out like a week before COVID happened, and I didn't get the chance to see it in theaters, but I sure as hell got to see it on Disney Plus, and I enjoyed it really well. And not only that, but during COVID, the second week of April, I moved, and so for a little while I was almost homeless in a way. Because I had to wait for approval to get into our new house that we were moving in, and we were living in a hotel for like a week, and that was basically our home for a little while. It was only for a week, and then we moved on that Friday, and that was also kind of fun. And I was actually kind of nervous because with change, I don't deal with it very well, and so it was a very new experience to move into this new house. And even during this time, because of the move, I watched the first Bad Boys, Bad Boys for Life, as I watched the movie that kind of entered us into the 2020 era. And then I even watched the first two High School Musical films, which was kind of a fun experience. The reason how I remembered these movies is because I can look at them and I'm like, oh yeah, I watched these movies at that time. Fun memories. And then, as we entered into like May of 2020, and I was still, doing virtual school and, basically work at home, I started to feel the loneliness because I had things to keep me busy, but I started to feel the loneliness where I kind of just, was watching movies, and I even got Hulu at the time, and I got to experience some stuff there. I got to watch some episodes of the 2012 Ninja Turtles show, so that was fun. I even got to I think I got to watch some movies on Hulu as well. And so yeah, it was just a fun experience. But what was so important about 2020, what was so important about this year, I've already covered Marvel and movies and my love for that. 2020 was the year where this channel was born, where it was June 13th. It was a week after I just finished 6th grade, and I was kind of bored. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Oh, and wait. I want to cover one thing. To not stay bored during COVID-19, and because we're such big Disney World lovers, and we're basically a Disney family, we decided to bring Disney World to our house, where basically we would make Disney-themed snacks, play things on the TV like we're on the rides, turn the lights off at night, and watch Happily Ever After. It was a perfect night. Back to my YouTube story. So it was June 13th. It was a week after school, after I finished 6th grade, and I thought I was bored. And I've been trying to turn my Instagram into somewhat of a YouTube channel, in a way of talking about movies on there. And I'm like, why don't I just start a YouTube channel? Like, I love watching these people talk about movies and everything. Why don't I just start a YouTube channel? Like, that's easily the best thing to do. And so I did. And you got to remember, I didn't really know what I wanted to do on this channel. I posted a MCU tier list. I talked about some movies, but I didn't really post a lot in the month of June. And then July, I posted a couple of videos, but not many. August, I posted a couple in like August rankings and all that stuff. But obviously, I went back to Disney World, but then another big change happened where I had to start school at home, and not just, logging on your computer and checking to see what teachers added for work. No, you actually had to go on this thing called Teams and sign on to a virtual class. And I'm like, oh no, I have to turn on my camera and be in class? Like, that's kind of depressing. Like, I want to do what I want. Like, leave me alone, I'm at home. And so it was a big change for me. And I was trying to think, like, how am I going to balance YouTube and my school life? And I didn't really focus on that because I just wanted to focus on school. And once again, continuing what I did in 2019 with a movie that calms me down from school, I watched the one and only Ivan. It's not the best movie, but it's a pretty okay, decent film. And then September continued with Disney Plus with Disney's Animal Kingdom series. I also watched Good Luck Charlie throughout September and October. And then I went back to Disney again. And then November, I went back to Disney again and watched Avatar for the first time. And that was a fun experience. But I think it was November when it started, where I started a series where I kind of figured out what I wanted to do on this channel and how to review movies in that. Because if you remember, I watched all the MCU films leading up to Captain Marvel. And I was like, you know what? I want to do something similar to that. What if I do just the movies that I haven't seen and review those movies? And I thought, because I don't think it's pointless to rewatch movies and then watch the other films. But then I thought, why not watch movies that I haven't seen before and review those? And I did. And I thought it was a fun experience of doing that. And kind of in the way I did that is Mulan, the remake of Mulan, it came out in September on Disney Plus, but it streamed on Disney Plus for free for all subscribers on December 3rd. And so I thought, why not do a series where I review all the Disney live action remakes that I haven't seen? And that was a fun experience because I got to watch Alice in Wonderland, Maleficent, Pete's Dragon, I believe some of the 101 Dalmatians remakes. Though I think I watched those like earlier in the year of 2020. And so that was a fun experience. And so then I even during this time I watched the Christmas Chronicles. I watched the first two. And then in the month of December, I decided to start another series where Pixar's next film, Soul, was coming out. And the two films that I haven't seen were the Cars sequels. So I thought, why not go ahead and watch the Cars movies, review them, and watch the Pixar films, and then do a tier list when Soul comes out. And yeah, and then by the time my winter break started, I realized I think I know what I want to do with my YouTube channel. And that basically set up for what 2021 was going to be, where I'm going to review movies. I'm going to look for the next big movie on a streaming service, since that's basically going to be the next big thing, because I don't know the next time I'm going to the movies again. And now that leads us into 2021. Hold up. All right, so now we're going to talk about 2021, and this was really the year where my love for movies, my love for Marvel, and my YouTube channel fully came into motion. When it came to my YouTube channel, I had a full-out goal, and I think there was a lot of great stuff that came out that helped a lot with it. Where in January, we got WandaVision, so I was able to review Marvel content and do that. I was able to... one of the first series to start out the year of doing these review series were leading up to Spirit Untamed, so I got to watch a bunch of the other DreamWorks animated films, so that was really fun, and I'll never forget that when I first watched The Road to El Dorado, and so that was a fun experience. And then I even started a series for like Sony animated films. I think I watched a couple of some of the Steven Spielberg movies because West Side Story came out that year. I can't even think of anything else. I watched all the X-Men movies, all the rest of the other ones besides Deadpool and Logan and Wolverine and stuff like that. And so yeah, I just watched some really good films. I even watched The Color Purple, Superbad, 10 Things I Hate About You. Just so many good first-time watches. When it came to, streaming movies, there were some really good ones. I loved Gunpowder Milkshake, which is going to be an anniversary soon. I loved Godzilla X Kong. When it came to the movie theaters, which was the first time I came back to the movies in a long time. The first movie I saw after COVID was Raya and the Last Dragon. And I'm actually going to be, this Sunday, I'm actually going to be doing a video discussing my top 5 favorite movies of the decade, because it's kind of June 30th is basically not only the midpoint of this year, but I think it's also the midpoint of this decade, since 2024, we basically have like 5 years left of this decade, with 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, and 2029. But stay tuned for those videos. And so yeah, and I don't know what it was about Raya and the Last Dragon, but it just brought that epicness of a Disney movie back into my mind, and I'm like, to this day, I'm still blown away by it, and it easily was one of my favorite Disney movies that I've ever seen, and maybe Moana 2 will be the same way. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. And then 2 months after that, I went to go see A Quiet Place Part 2. And that was a fun experience because I was having so much fun seeing a great movie in theaters. And I saw the first A Quiet Place just a week before, and that was so good. And then something also kind of happened where I got a dog. And if you know me, before this, I was terrified of dogs. And when a new dog came to my life, which my French bulldog, my Frenchie, it kind of changed a lot of things because it kind of brought some joy into our life, but also brought into some worriness to where we would take her on vacations and all that stuff. And it's sort of a separate story, but yeah, that's basically what happened. And I was thinking, how am I going to live? But then I realized, yeah, she's not that bad. I can just sit with her and she'll chill. She sleeps a lot. It's all good. And then the next week I went to go see Spirit Untamed. And then towards the end of the month, and it was also great, is I actually got my vaccine shots that month. So that was kind of depressing, especially with the second shot. Ugh, I hate it. I went to go see F9 in theaters at the end of June. That was fun. But that wasn't the best movie. July comes, and I went to go see Black Widow in theaters, and that was also a really good experience, because it was the first time going to see an MCU film in theaters since Far From Home. And then August was a big month because I was watching another MCU show. I was going to Disney World again. I also went to Disney in March of 2021. Then I went back to school. I went back to school in person. I started 8th grade, my final year in middle school. And also 7th grade was fine, by the way. Sorry, I'm skipping a few parts because my brain right now, I've been talking about like 40 minutes, and I'm also kind of hungry, but we got to complete this. And so yeah, overall, it was just kind of cool. And even with this month, and I think 7th grade kind of helped me a little bit. And also the movie that I decided to watch for 2020, for 2021, for 8th grade year was Reminiscence, which was like this Hugh Jackman movie. It was on Max at the time. But one of the things that I've kind of learned in 7th grade, because we don't have to get that early, because the school day starts later in the day, and because I've been throughout all of 6th grade, I've been complaining about how to get this work done when they shove so much in our faces. How do I do that? Well, that's why you got those early extra hours to do that. And in my mind, I think it works. Because I would wake up at like 5, 7 o'clock in the morning, or 6 the earliest. And I would get like a couple hours to myself. And now that I'm going back to school and writing stuff on paper and doing stuff on computer, I now have the advantage to write, to work on stuff early before it's due, and I get to turn it in. And it's such a crowd pleaser because I get to relax on the weekends and do other things. Sometimes I procrastinate, and that's kind of what has led into what I'm doing now. But overall, yeah, it was a very helpful strategy. And what's also been a big joy is to wake up early in the morning and to watch. You know, during this time was What If was coming out, and so I got to enjoy What If early in the morning, and so that was fun. And then, we get to October. I went to go see my first R-rated movie in the theater with Halloween Kills. And boy, that was a fun experience. Boy, that was a fun experience. And then we get to November, where I went to go see Eternals, which of course was not the best MC movie, let's be real. But then we get to December, and I saw Spider-Man No Way Home, which I said that Infinity War was my favorite movie experience of all time. No Way Home might be my favorite movie experience as a Spider-Man fan, because that theater, it was a different theater than I usually go to, but that theater was loud. And I love it. I love that they were cheering at certain parts when Andrew takes off his mask, when all three Spider-Men were just swinging together. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Can't forget that experience. And overall, I feel like, yeah, I succeeded in this year. I had a schedule. I lived up to it. And I feel like, and even throughout that winter break, I feel like that was like the last time in winter break where I actually felt like I was vibing and I was enjoying it. And like, honestly, I can't, like, that's just one of the best reasons why I love 2021 so much, is because, like, I was getting back to movies and I was in watching different film in theaters, but I was also enjoying life. And yet, I know, being in quarantine, even though I was missing some friends, though, I was enjoying the stuff that I was doing, and I honestly kind of thank COVID for doing that, in a way. I know that's a weird thing to do, but it kind of got me to do things I really never thought I would do. And I got to see some movies that I never thought I would see. So, I kind of thank quarantine for that. Even though I don't want to go back to those times where we were wearing masks. That's boring. And now let's talk about 2022. And now we get to 2022, and I think this year kind of declined in certain things. So I've said in 2021 was a really great comeback year, where I got to watch tons of great films. I got to watch tons of great movies in theaters. I got to go back to the theater. I got to have so much fun with a bunch of the great Marvel content that was coming out that year. Not all of it worked, but most of it did. And so it was just a great year. 2022 comes in, and I feel like that it kind of declined in certain things. Now, when it came to the first-time watches, I would say first-time watches were actually the highlight of that year. Because I remember watching Joker for the first time. I remember watching Mitchell's vs. the Machines. I remember watching Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and completing the Harry Potter franchise. I remember I can't remember what I watched. It was 2 years ago. Don't blame me. Don't mind me. But yeah, overall with first time watches, it was great. When it came to new releases, I think it was difficult to find movies that I loved. There were definitely movies I loved, but they weren't like my all-time favorite movies to where I want to go back and rewatch them. I mean, obviously, now that 2022 has been passed, I've been able to go back and watch some of those movies, like Top Gun Maverick, The Whale, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans. Though I would say The Fabelmans is an underrated pick. Is a little bit underrated. I probably need to rewatch that movie again. Yeah. And when it came to the movie, but honestly, there were just not a lot of, like some movies that I was really anticipating, like, just kind of ended up being okay. Like, for example, Jurassic World Dominion. I was very excited for the movie, and that kind of ended up being a flop. Hocus Pocus 2, alright. And what's also crazy is they gave out some really good announcements, like for at Comic-Con and D23, and that was also a really highlight of the year because, like, they were announcing so much stuff. But when it also came to the movies, like the movie theater experiences, I just don't really feel like they hit to where I didn't really go to the movies as much. I remember I went to the movies in February and I went to go see a dog movie with Channing Tatum, and that was a good experience, but I don't really remember that movie all that much. And then I went to go see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness in May with my mom, and I thought that was actually a pretty cool experience. Then I went to go see Jurassic World Dominion and Lightyear in theaters, and Lightyear I just can't deny I hate that movie. I'm not, okay, I can't hate it, but it's not, it could have been so much better. And then July I went to go see Thor Love and Thunder, and obviously I hate that movie too. And then October I went to go see Halloween Ends. And then November I went to go see Wakanda Forever twice because I went to go see with my family, and then a week later I went to go see it for my friend's birthday, but that was a whole misconception. And then December, which kind of feel bad about talking about this, and I'll discuss why I feel bad about it. I want to go see Avatar, which I'm not gonna lie, it's not the best movie, but ever since Avatar came out, I've always said that watching that experience watching in the theater was cool. And I kind of feel weird about it now, but I'll explain it on the live stream this Sunday. And so yeah, when it just came to movie theater experiences, like, it just didn't hit. But also when it came to my personal life with friends, I just feel like things just started to become very real. To where I just feel like people just started to be so fake. And I honestly feel like, especially like my final months of middle school, I just feel like I couldn't trust anybody. And I feel like, middle school kind of ended off on a pretty cool note. Like, I'm glad, and I kept posting pictures of the pictures I took because I didn't really have much to post. And then I kind of went into high school kind of with so much optimism, and obviously that didn't really end well, but we'll talk about that in 2023. And then when it just came to YouTube videos, there just wasn't really a lot of exciting videos, at least not a lot of ones that I was excited to do. So yeah, it was just, and honestly, it's like doing the whole review series things week by week just kind of I feel like became stale to me. And so it's like, I was just so tired of it, and I kind of just wanted to try something new. And so yeah, 2022 was just kind of a depressing year. Granted, it had some highs, but the lows were just not it. When it came to movies, Marvel, movie theater experiences, YouTube videos, real life relationships, and everything, it was just, I would say it's easy. Like, you think 2020 was bad? 2022 was really depressing. I'm not gonna lie to you. And now we get on to the year 2023. And now we get to the year 2023, and I would say this year actually was a huge improvement. It was. And the big reason for this is, unlike when it came to movies, there were just so many movies that I was so excited for, that as I was making my list for most anticipated movies of 2023, it was kind of hard to choose what movie I was excited for, because literally every month it feels like there's a movie always coming out. And I'm like, holy crap, this is insane. Like, January, you get Megan, which was a movie that kind of actually looked interesting. You had Missing. February, you had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which obviously was not that great, but we all know that. We had Cocaine Bear. We had, what other films did we have? We had other movies. March, we had Shazam! Fury of the Gods. We had Creed 3. We had Scream 6. We had Dungeons and Dragons. April, we had Air, the Mario movie. We had that vampire movie with Nicolas Cage. Then May, we had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Little Mermaid, Fast X. And then June, we had Across the Spider-Verse, Elemental, The Flash, even a small film on Disney Plus, Flamin' Hot. We had Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. We had Transformers Rise of the Beast. But then you get into July, and you get Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. You get Barbie. You get Oppenheimer. You get Joyride. You get all these great movies. And then you get August, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. You get Blue Beetle. You get Gran Turismo. Then September was kind of smaller on some releases. You get Equalizer 3. Then October, you're kind of coming back with some stuff, which you had Totally Killer. You had Five Nights at Freddy's movie coming out. You had you just had great movies in the November. November. Oh, I'm gonna be honest with you. You think July and June were the best monster movies, and May? Go back to November of 2023. You had a movie for every single week. The first week, Priscilla. The second week, Totally The Killer. Third week, Thanksgiving. Fourth week, Disney's Wish. You had a movie for every week, and I would say all those movies were awesome. And then you get to December, and you had Wonka. You had oh, and you also had the Marvels in November. You had American Fiction. You had Godzilla Minus One, which was a big shock to people because nobody expected that movie to be good. I'm trying to think what movies came out. What movies came out in December? Oh man, you had Leave the World Behind. Yeah, December was kind of a flop, but there was still some pretty good bangers in December. But that's the thing. And most of those movies ended up being really good. Some of them actually ended up being really surprising movies. But at its core, they were just great. It was just a really exciting time because you got to go to the movies. And granted, I didn't go to the movies for every single movie, but I got to experience some of the best movies out there. When it came to being Marvel fans, I just feel like for a small while since Guardians 3, I was on a hot streak where I never thought Marvel could make another fantastic movie. And Guardians 3 was the pinnacle of that because to this day I'm still blown away by it. When it came to my videos, I actually decided to do something a little interesting where I kind of cut back on the series week by week thing where I kind of just watch them for my own liking and then talk about them in my monthly rankings. But I started a new series where I talk about movies, movie anniversaries that when they come up. And I thought that was a clever idea where I got to review some of the best movies ever made. It started with Infinity War, then I got to review Nemo and Lion King and Lilo and Stitch, Incredibles 2, and just some of the best movies ever made. And I was even thinking, even with that series, I was thinking, how is this series going to work? Because I reviewed Infinity War, but then I was like, wait, do I just do this with Marvel movies, or do I do it with other movies and stuff like that? I'm like, there's other pieces of cinema that I could be reviewing. And I actually ended up doing it, and there's plenty of other options for it. And it actually got me, and honestly, it actually kind of got me excited because it's I get to rewatch movies I love, but I also get to talk about movies I love, and and the fun thing is I talk to myself. I practice things of what I'm going to say to ease my anxiety as I'm getting older, and I get to practice what I'm going to say for these upcoming videos. One of the most anticipating videos I was so excited for doing this month was talking about all 4 Toy Story films, which I'm surprised I didn't do it before because I wanted to do it in November, but I realized, wait, Toy Story 3 and 4 came out in June. June's coming up and I don't really have anything going on there, I could plug it in there. You get easy access to that. And so it's just a perfect blend to go back to classics, but get some great reviews in. And so it was just great. And then when it came to the first time watches, there were actually plenty of great first time watches. Most definitely. Especially in November and December, I kind of went all out and decided to watch some films. Really in July kind of started where I decided I'm going to watch some movies on my own terms. Not on a schedule, nothing of that nature. I'm going to watch some movies on my own nature. So in a way, 2023 was like the comeback year for me, for my channel. But also when it came to Friends, I feel like I look back on them and I'm like, I actually made some pretty good memories. And I actually met some pretty interesting people. And obviously, I don't think 9th grade ended the best way. And so that kind of led me into going into 10th grade with the least expectations. But then I think it ended off pretty well, which we'll talk about in 2024, which is what we'll be talking about in the next section of this video. And now we'll talk about 2024, and for the final year, as we are right now, I think, in my opinion, everything is going great. I think that this year is easily on par with 2023 and 2021. I would say it's probably the weakest of those years, but it's still a very good year. It has still been a very good year. When it comes to movies, I think it started out kind of weak when I went to go see Bob Marley, One Love, and Kung Fu Panda 4. But the interesting thing about this year for movies is I'm going to see movies that are different than the usual stuff I watched. Where I started going to the movies seeing Disney, Pixar, Marvel, superhero films. This year, I went to go see a biopic in theaters. I saw, of course, the usual animated film. I saw a war movie in theaters with Civil War. I saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie, which is a sci-fi epic. I saw a rated R action movie in theaters with Bad Boys Ride or Die. And then I recently saw Inside Out 2 weeks ago. And then this Friday, I'm going to be seeing A Quiet Place Day 1. For the upcoming months, I plan to see Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a superhero film. In September, maybe I'll probably see The Wild Robot. In October, I definitely need to see Joker 2. November, I need to see Moana 2. December, I need to see Mufasa. It's my most anticipated movie of the year. I need to see Mufasa. But when it came to first-time watches, as of this moment, I have seen over 400 movies, both new releases and first-time watches. And I made it a goal this year to watch over 400 movies. And I'm overpassing it, and it's great. Like, this past week, I rewatched Elvis, and I'm suddenly in the mood to watch some other movies, like just earlier today, I watched Rocket Man, the Elton John story. And then I watched, yesterday, I watched Selena, Selena Quintanilla or whoever the girls, with Jennifer Lopez. Then tomorrow, I think tonight I'm going to watch the Whitney Houston movie. And then tomorrow, I'm going to watch the Judy Garland biopic. And then Friday, I'm actually going to watch Akeelah and the Bee. I know it's such a weird list of movies, but that's the thing. If you're open to all movies, you could experience different parts of cinema. And that's the beautiful part. I even started watching all the Star Wars movies this year, even Studio Ghibli. I watched so many different movies. And even Studio Ghibli, I could definitely say, is one of the best anime studios of all time. And yeah, it's been a pretty good year. Even when it comes to my friends, I think, even right now, I think all my friendships right now, they're actually looking really good. And so, yeah, life right now, when it comes to Marvel, I don't know if I could say right now because we haven't really gotten anything. But from what it looks like, it seems like Marvel's coming back to what it's going to be. I'm excited for what they're going to be doing, especially with like Deadpool and Wolverine, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man coming out in November. So excited for that. And also with videos this year, I'm just getting excited for them. I've limited some of them of doing some videos, but when it comes to videos, I'm just excited in doing them. And if you're not excited in doing videos, something's wrong with you. Because if you don't like the hobby you're doing, what are you doing? And I like doing entertaining videos for you guys, and that's why, in a way, I watch movies so that I can do some interesting videos to talk about them. And so yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. That is my YouTube story, and that's basically of how far I've gotten with everything. And yeah, I know I've talked about this for like an hour, but this is my story, and I really wanted to share it with you guys once again. So yeah, that's my story. I mean, I know I didn't technically do this last year, but we'll be doing this every year because I like telling this story. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will be posting my next video tomorrow, which will be my Henry Danger and Danger Force all seasons ranked. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.